be about arm's length away from it. Oh, that's awful. I was like, I'd expect that from Dennis. Hey guys, Jesse Moore, Pickett Street Properties.
Dennis Pierce, Pickett Street Properties.
And the reason I did that pun is that we want to talk about arm's length transactions and what that means in the short sale process.
And arm's length, in the legal sense, really talks about not having a relation to, in this case, a seller. We're talking about short sales, so a seller really needs to be isolated from the folks around them. They shouldn't be, the banks especially are going to take a dim view of somebody who's trying to sell the family, etc.
All right, well this is basically a sniff test. The arm's length transaction is a way of the bank who's approving a short sale of making sure that there's no, there's less likelihood of fraud.
Right.
And so let's talk about some situations where this might come into play. For instance, I can think of a few examples. One, a husband and wife divorce. Mm-hmm. Wife keeps the house. Husband is not on the mortgage or title. Wife is in a situation where she needs to short sale, mm-hmm. and husband tries to buy the house. Ex-husband tries to buy the house. Guess what?
Yeah, not likely.
Not going to happen. I mean, the reality is yes, in the eyes of the law, they are not related anymore.
Right. But
the bank, that's not going to pass the sniff test for the bank. The reality is that what the bank's trying to avoid here is that I dealt with this guy that called me this week, who watches our videos, and he wants to short sale some properties. And the reality is that he wants to, some of these properties he really likes, and he doesn't want them to leave the family, and so he wants to sell them to his brother, right? Uh-huh. And yeah, that does not pass the sniff test. The bank's not going to allow that to happen because they're afraid that parties are in collusion, that the real estate, and that's another thing, the real estate agent isn't supposed to be related to the seller either. You know, and the buyer can't be related to the seller. Right. They want to make sure that everything was done properly, and so they don't want parties in collusion. They don't want the seller going around saying, hey, buyer, I'll give you a really good deal, and you'll sign me some money under the table, and the agent, you'll get the commission, and then you can kick back some of that. And so the bank, the arm's length transaction, the reason that that's a requirement by the bank approving the short sale is that they're just trying to make sure that there's no short sale fraud going on.
Right, and we've seen plenty of that. In fact, there's still a lot of it going on. I mean, it's been interesting with this economic downturn how fraud has escalated. It's just they've found new ways to do it. And so again, like Jesse says, the banks are just trying to be as sure as they can that we're not going through another wave of basically nepotism in short sale fraud. Yeah, so what you need to know is that if you are considering a short sale or you're in a short sale process, you cannot list the property with your brother or sister or mom or dad or wife or spouse or daughter or son. If you are, and actually some arm's length definitions are even include platonic relationships, meaning friends, business relationships as well. Right. And so by and large, though, we're talking about, blood relatives. And so... And keep in mind that you will likely be required to sign what's known as an arm's length affidavit at some point in the transaction, typically towards the end. So you may not see it up front, but it's very likely that towards the end, just before closing, they're going to send out to all parties an arm's length affidavit that's going to you're going to have to sign and be truthful in. And you don't want to sign that stating that it's arm's length and then have it not be an arm's length transaction, because that is considered mortgage fraud. Right. And I do believe the FBI they track that.
So arm's length affidavit is that's more than anything. I've had to educate agents even on this who we get an offer in and and we have to educate those people on the process and who should be writing that offer for the buyer and who can and cannot be doing that. And so, and even agents in our office who are less familiar with short sales, thinking that they are going to list their...
They can list either the home they used to live in, or they can list...
Well, they can do that, they're just not going to make any commission.
They're not going to make any commission on it, but, or maybe, again, a divorce situation where they're listing the home they used to live in.
Right. The banks just want to be clear that there's no opportunity for fraud.
Yeah.
So, arm's length transaction, if you think you're going to sell your house to a relative in a short sale, it's not going to happen. Even if it's insulated by an LLC, the bank will request LLC documentation of who those members are and their relationship to the seller.
Disclosure.
So that's the arm's length transaction in the short sale process. It's not worth it. Don't do it. Don't try to sell it to your mom.
It'll cost.
It'll cost. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.